Kune varimi vese vanoda kuenda mberi ngavashande nekurima center. Number 1. Kushanda nekurima center ndaona gore redu richitiitira zvakanaka. Sezvamuri kuona izvi, haina mishonga imwe mbasa yekukiya. Vanotipa product inoshanda semaonera muri kuitawo matomatoes edu kuti hatina doubt, hamuna tuta, hamuna zvirwere zvakawanda. Tiri kushanda nekurima center zvakanaka. Ticharamba tichisapota iyo ichitisapota. Kune varimi vese vanoda kuenda mberi ngavashande nekurima.
My name is Ian Wambe and we are coming to you live from the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project right here in the capital city in Harare, where today the heads of state we have actually come through for the 44th Heads of Sadc Summit that ended yesterday, actually here to tour and see, get to witness the work being done by this particular project. And His Excellency, we know that yesterday he took a chairmanship of the region. My name is Ian Wambe. I'm not alone. I do have my co-presenter with me. Good morning to you, Wazanai.
Mangwanani chokwadi Ian, tinokuchikamidzai muri yeZimbabwe tiri kuno kuGeo-Pomona tichikupai zviri kuitika kuno sekutaura kwaita Ian kuti vatungamiri venyika dzemuSadc nevamwe vakasiyana-siyana vakanga vari muno kumusangano iwoyo nhasi uno vari kuzoona zviri kuitika kuno kuGeo-Pomona kunova kune project iri kuita zvidavado zvakasiyana-siyana. Kudhara Ian taiziva kuti panapa panenge pachibuda hutsi pakasviba pachingooneka moto, asi iko zvino ukapasvika pachena zvichireva kuti Geo-Pomona ine zvairi kuita vachishandisa ruzivo rwemazuva ano watingati technology ruya kuvandudza marara kuti ave chimwe chinhu chinobatika chakanaka chingabatsira nyika. So vatungamiriri vakaona zvakakosha, vabona kuqakathekile ukuthi ababuyileyo kumhlangano weSadc badlule la vazobona umsebenzi omkhulu owenziwa lapha. So thina zabe silipha okwenzakalayo lapha namhlanje Ian.
Yes, rightfully, like you said, that previously when you used to pass this road, it was not a pleasant view. You could see the smoke, like you said, it was a smelly place, but total transformation has actually happened here. Obviously, a talk of innovation, and we've seen His Excellency on his acceptance speech, even during his public lecture at the University of Zimbabwe, spoke about the significance of the region to move towards industrialization, as well as pushing our education sector to become innovative-based. And Zimbabwe has done that, looking at the education 5.0, the heritage-based education, which of course is centered on creating innovators, and the innovation hubs have produced the results to date. During the COVID-19, you remember we saw universities are producing face masks, the sanitizers, and now the University of Zimbabwe is currently producing the number plates, which was not happening when we were using education 3.0. So it is all about innovation, it is all about transformation and industrializing the region. And when he was explaining Wazanai during the public lecture, he challenged other heads of state to at least create young graduates who are looking for new methods to solve the problem. And in his speech, he said universities must be able to answer the question, how to. If that is not answered, the university is actually a glorified high school. That means he's challenging all the heads of state who are coming through to see what is being done in Zimbabwe to go and implement likewise in their countries.
Ichokwadi Ian kuti Zimbabwe iri kuti mudunhu redu reSadc uyai muonewo zvatiri kuita zviri kushandisa ruzivo rwemazuva ano kuvandudza kunyange kugadzirwa zvakasiyana-siyana. Kutaura kwaita Ian kuti mayunivhesiti edu ane zvizhinji zvavari kugadzira. Takazviona munguva yeCovid-19, takuona mayunivhesiti achigadzira masanitizer, achigadzira zvakasiyana-siyana. So ndo zvimwe zviri kuitwa pano paGeo-Pomona 2022 vachivamba urongwa hwepano. Tiri kunzwa kuti nhasi pazuva ranhasi pano tichaona vatungamiri venyika vari pano vachiratidzwa zvakanga zviri nzvimbo ino, vozoratidzwa zvayava mukati mezuva ranhasi kuti vaone shanduko yava pano. Tinoziva kuti munyika dzedu dzemudunhu rino nyaya yekuti kana marara avepo aungana anoitwa sei inhau inogara ichikurukurwa nezvayo ichinetsa. Dzimweni nguva muchiona marara akarasirwa pese, pamwe tichiona masuwa achingotenderera pose. So ndo zviri kuitwa nekambani yeGeo-Pomona kuti aiwa marara anogona kubatwa zvakanaka ouya pano osarudzwa kuti maplastic uku zvakati uku oonekwa kuti zvii zvaangagadziriswe nazvo. Totaura kwataita kuti vari kutiwo urongwa hwavo ndewo kuti nekufamba kwenguva kana zvose zvava panzvimbo tinozoona magetsi achibva pano achipinda munational grid anoita iwo 22 megawatts ndo vavariro yavo. Kota iye nikati kuti amandibazi kuti lapha vazaboni kuti labemidlalo vale ndawo yabo lapha namhlanje sokuclean liyakwazi ukuba lizodlala ibhora la. Ngizwa kuthiwa inkundla eyomdlalo wenguqu lapha abeFIFA bayicertifya bathi iyakhiwe kuhle image yokuhle konke kuqhakathekile so yikho kwenziwa iGeo-Pomona abazodlala itennis abazodlala ibasketball imidlalo etshiyeneyo liyakwanisa ukubuya lemuli zenu lapha eGeo-Pomona akusela ngcekeza liyabuya lizokholisa libona okwenzakala lapha so yikho kunye ababona kuqhakathekile ukuthi abakhokheli babuye bazobona okwenziwa lapha eGeo-Pomona ngiyazi ukuthi ANC besuka lapha eGeo-Pomona baza kuya eMuseum of African Liberation lapho kubhalwa khona imbali yeAfrika ukuthi impi yalwiwa njani siyazi ukuthi kukhona ingwalo eziningi ezikhuluma ngembali yeZimbabwe kodwa imuseum izama ukuthi thina njengabantu beAfrika njengabantu beSadc sibhale sodwa ukuthi impi yethu sayilwa kanje sasathola uzibuse njalo eAfrika esikukwanisayo yilokhu lalokhu so abakhokheli baza kuyabona labo indawo yeMuseum of African Liberation kuyikuphetha komhlangano we-44th Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government babona qhatheke ukuthi labo bangaphonga ukuhamba bele emazweni abo kodwa babuye bazobona okwenziwa iZimbabwe esingumgcini sihlalo walinhlanganiso okwenyanga ezili12 ezilandelayo Ian.
Rightfully said, especially looking at the Museum of African Liberation, the main agenda or the main idea is to have the African story being told by the correct African person who knows what exactly happened. And we've seen various heads of state visiting earlier on. And I remember when there was the groundbreaking ceremony, another heads of state from the region also came through to witness that particular project being started. And now it has actually advanced to another stages where we have seen some of the families submitting the war memorabilia used by various liberation struggle heroes who actually came through to submit what their forefathers, their grandfathers were using to say some may want to understand how these guns, how these clothes actually played a critical role in that particular museum. So yes, going forward, the museum will carry a significance of the African story, the correct narrative, and talking of its location, located adjacent to the National Heroes Acre right here in Zimbabwe. And of course, these two various institutions are talking about the significance of the liberation struggle. And like what Zanai talked about, how these heads of state are coming to support. This is the one of the main agendas for the Zimbabwean country to move towards the correct narrative of Africa. And yes, as we speak, the heads of state have actually arrived at the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project right here in the capital city. They are currently in the briefing, and once they are out, they will be showed a video of what we have seen earlier on and what now the Geo-Pomona is like, and we get to have more of that. Let's get to see the police band currently performing, and as we wait for the heads of state to come through from the briefing.
As you can see there, the arrival of various heads of state, the president of Botswana, His Excellency President Masisi, having arrived earlier on, and now, of course, extending further to King Mswati of Eswatini, also having made his way to the Geo-Pomona facility, and the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Facility also heralding itself as the only one of its kind within the Sadc region, addressing a lot of the issues around renewable energy and also waste management, also contributing integrally to some of the climate mitigation measures that have been adopted, but also at the same time speaking to the progression that is being made within the region of Sadc. Bengani, I can also appreciate that what's taking place here today is very monumental for us here in Zimbabwe, and showcasing how we are contributing towards waste management.
Farai sokulevereka kuwata farai kuti nasi izhu vaigurwana kutobera kare kugajo kontungamiro shango komanda maso mnangagwa kubongara chibura we Sadc. Ijiro abesano bapiwa chibura wakabiri untungamiri webono bagara chibura we Sadc ba Joao Lorenzo bakalebereka beti ibo tuko tiboke amashango anoba imingu je Sadc belinga kale kuti pakabuza kuzutonga kujere koga kwa feno tuko tibe tunosenga mberi kuzotongayo kuti banche isu nasi tilinga mishingo yokumutiwa kwa Geo-Pomona. Geo-Pomona yakabizibika si ndao inolashirwa ishambwa koga chino chokutanga kuti ishambwa yeyi ndiye kumushingiswa kutama gesi unoba nshingo nkuruguru kasa tilinga kale kuti nshuro wenyayo Sadc ye chimakumi mana notuna yakabelebereka kale kuti tukola tibeito tinoshingisa kale luzibo lwa majuvano kubuza ibudiriro so tungamiriyo shango belebereka kale kuti inyika inobaka nebene bayo ishangule Sadc ndiyo notubula chete kulibelo linobaka bubuya bweshango yabo nokubuza kale lunako mubana beshango yibayimo mushango Sadc.
Yes, definitely. The family of Sadc also appreciating this momentous occasion in terms of Zimbabwe taking on, of course, it's a chairship, looking, of course, forward to the 365 days going forward when we'll be playing our role in guiding the direction of the Southern African bloc, but also ensuring that we do align our national development strategy vision 2030 as having been extended towards Zimbabwe becoming a middle to upper income society. All this speaking, of course, towards the regional endeavors that tie into Vision 2063 of the African Union. And we will, of course, be giving you the live updates from the Geo-Pomona waste management facility. And we'll be looking, of course, at some of the intricacies that come through with operations from there. Let's take a look.
Geo-Pomona Waste Management represents a state-of-the-art approach to waste management, incorporating crucial elements such as proper waste sorting, leachate treatment, and the establishment of waste-to-energy facilities in fighting the effects of climate change and ensuring good public health. This innovative project has significant importance to the region, addressing critical environmental and public health challenges in Africa as a result of pollution of the environment with solid waste and contamination of water bodies with leachate. The project's emphasis on proper waste sorting ensures that recyclable materials are separated from non-recyclable waste, leading to reduced environmental impact and increased resource efficiency. The implementation of leachate treatment facilities mitigates the harmful effects of leachate, a byproduct of waste decomposition that can contaminate soil and water sources. Dilesh Nguwaya, the Geo-Pomona Private Limited Chief Executive Officer, said the multi-million-dollar project stands to benefit other countries by serving as a model for transformative waste management practices. He says they intend to replicate the project across the country.
The Kanban has been guaranteed by the government of Zimbabwe the national project status, and so far we've employed more than 162 workers and 60 contractors. Our future as Geo-Pomona, we want to replicate the same model in other cities and also to the Sadc region to do the same concept which we are doing here in Harare. This project is a footprint of His Excellency, the President, Comrade Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, is the one who gives us guidance to make sure we are running this site in a good way.
Geo-Pomona Waste Management Civil Engineer Nyasha Chifupa.
So here we are at our air bridge, which is our first port of entry into the waste management site. So at the way bridge, trucks come from different players, be it City of Harare, private players, they will start here at the way bridge. So what happens at the way bridge, our intended goal is to measure the amount of waste that is being brought to site. So the truck will come in to the way bridge, we measure the gross weight. Then after measuring the gross weight, it wins, it tips off the waste, it comes back, we measure the net weight. And by having the difference of the two, we can tell the amount of waste that has been dumped in the site. And then we can issue an invoice for the customer to go and pay.
Here we are now standing at our batch plant, which is one of our auxiliary infrastructure. The purpose of this batch plant is to produce the amount of concrete that is desired for the project. The project has large volumes of concrete, and we therefore found the project to have economic soundness if we have our own batch plant. So this is the 60 cubic meter per hour batch plant concrete production, a puts master which we had imported from India to bring to the project. We're now at our hazardous landfills. We have two types of hazardous waste. So we have two types also of landfills, being the hazardous landfill, solid hazardous landfill, and the liquid hazardous landfill. The design consideration for these landfills, number one, we are friends of the environment. We intend to protect the environment by all means necessary. So we have two lines of defense. The first line of defense being 1 meter of compacted clay, which is impermeable, after which we then put 2.5 millimeter HDP geomembrane. Then we then put a geotextile on top of the geomembrane, which is the white membrane that we are seeing there.
Now, they, of course, appreciating the contributions that the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Facility does contribute towards the regional challenges that come in relation to waste management. We'll be crossing over back to Geo-Pomona Waste. We'll be joined, of course, by Ian Vambe and Wadzanai Mbera, of course, as Excellency has arrived at the facility. Let's follow the proceedings from there.
Thank you. We may take our seats. Your Majesty, ingwenyama umswati wesithathu sithi bayethe mpangazitha bayethe wangaphakathi. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Chair of the Sadc, Your Excellencies, the other presidents that are here this morning, Your Excellency, the Executive Secretary of Sadc, Ntate Mahosi, the Honorable Vice Presidents of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Retired General CGD Chiwenga, and Honorable Colonel Retired KCD Muhadi, Honorable Ministers that are here present and Deputy Ministers that are here present, members of the Politburo of the ruling party ZANU-PF, members of the diplomatic corps that are here present, the Chief Secretary and all senior civil servants that are here present, ladies and gentlemen, Bobaba labo mama, we say a very good morning to all of you. As we begin this short program at the Geo-Pomona Waste Management site, I would ask the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Chairman of Geo-Pomona Waste Management, Dr. Dilesh Ngwaya, to take the podium and give us a short brief on this site, after which he will also show us a short video, and then we will move on to the next step. Dr. Ngwaya.
Thank you, the Director of Ceremony, Reverend Damasan. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairperson of the Sadc, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, Your Majesty, King Mswati, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, General Retired CGD Chiwenga, the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Colonel Retired KCD Muhadi, Your Excellency, the Sadc Executive Secretary, Mr. Elias M. Magosi, Honorable Ministers, Member of Diplomat Corps, Honorable Member of Parliament, distinguished delegates, esteemed invited guests, media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited is proud to be associated with the 44th Heads of State Summit running under the theme, Promoting Innovation to Unlock Opportunities for Sustainable Economic Growth and Development towards an Industrialized Sadc. We appreciate this opportunity given to us by the Sadc to showcase our innovative ecological model and industrialized prowesses. Distinguished custodians of the summit, great men and women of our region, I welcome you to Geo-Pomona, the home of sustainable waste management. Your presence here signifies an endorsement of our vision, which is to be Southern Africa's first, best, and most efficient waste management and power generation project. The magnitude of attention given to us through today's talk is exciting and humbling at the same time. Your Excellencies, following growing concerns about the chronic environment hazards emanating from the neglect former Pomona dam site, we initiated a rapid response which has made our site an example to environmental preservation. Your Excellencies, Our zero waste landfill policy continues undeterred. The generated waste will be recycled and utilized for energy recovery. We have constructed a sorting plant to separate recyclables from non-recyclables. The recyclable waste will be sold to recycling companies, while the recycled combustible material will be incinerated in the waste-to-energy plant to generate 16 megawatt to 22 megawatt of electricity. In line with the main SADC objectives of achieving development, alleviating poverty, and enhancing the standard of life for the people of Southern Africa, we have created increased employment opportunities. We are also contributing to Zimbabwe's gross domestic product in supporting the broader national industrialization drive. Your Excellencies, Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited is a legacy footprint of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa's palatable vision of transforming the country into an upper middle income economy by 2030. This goes with the main prospect of the region SADC's Vision 2050, which is linked to pro-people economic policies. As such, Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited congratulates the President, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, for assuming the SADC chairmanship. We are optimistic that his charismatic and development-focused leadership will enhance regional development. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that today's talk will inspire all delegates to motivate the replication of Geo-Pomona waste management model in all SADC states. In us, we have a partner. In us, we have a guaranteed expertise for the greener future. We have the capability to make this sustainable, ecological, transformative drive a regional trademark. So please don't be left behind. There's no other better time to make Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited part of your environmental management solution other than now. Your Excellencies, together with the power to build an environmental hazard-free future, not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come. That way, SADC will be immune from threats of climate change. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, comrades and friends, Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited welcomes you all, invite you to watch the transformative journey of our site. I thank you.
The vibrant heart of Zimbabwe has long faced the challenge of managing its waste. For years, the city's waste management was a struggle, leading to the infamous Pomona dump site. This is the story of Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited, an innovative waste management solutions company, and our transformative journey from chaos to sustainability. The Pomona dump site, once a symbol of neglect and environmental degradation, was a far cry from the clean and green city. The vibrant heart of Zimbabwe has long faced the challenge of managing its waste. For years, the city's waste management was a struggle, leading to the infamous Pomona dump site. This is the story of Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited, an innovative waste management solutions company, and our transformative journey from chaos to sustainability. The Pomona dump site, once a symbol of neglect and environmental degradation, was a far cry from the clean and green city it aspired to be. The site was uncontrolled, hazardous, and an eyesore for our city. It was a challenging time as the site became home to squatters who lived off the refuse. Air, ground, and land pollution were rampant. There were uncontrolled fires. We knew something had to be done. In a bold move towards change, the management of the Pomona dump site was transferred from the city of Harare to Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited, transforming it from a municipal entity into a privately owned national project in April 2022. Today, Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited stands as a testament to innovation and progress. The once chaotic dump site has been transformed into a model of modern waste management.
Hello all, our vision is to be Southern Africa's first, best and most efficient
waste management and power generation project, setting the standard for private-public partnership in the provision for a better and more sustainable life for all citizens. Our mission is to operate a world-class, internationally rated waste management and power generation enterprise. We will collaborate and partner with our diverse stakeholders to ensure sustainable and long-term benefits for all communities and generations to come.
We have also introduced critical infrastructure improvements. It all started with the road construction for access to the dump site. We implemented a comprehensive security system to safeguard the site from unauthorized access. Road lights were put up to ensure optimal visibility as we are open 24 hours. Electrical lines were installed to supply power for operations. A concrete batch plant was constructed for our operations. A weigh bridge was installed to ensure we accurately capture how much waste we are receiving and where it is coming from. We have utilized the best practice of dealing with already existing waste, which had accumulated for decades, through a process called encapsulation. This process helps to restrict greenhouse gas emissions produced by waste from escaping into the atmosphere. The recreational facilities will provide much-needed green spaces for families, turning a former wasteland into a community hub. But Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited is not stopping there. The future holds even greater promise with a goal to implement the waste-to-energy plant cutting-edge technology that will convert waste into a sustainable source of electricity with a supply of 16 to 22 megawatts of electricity to the national grid. This will not only reduce the environmental impact of waste, but also provide a renewable energy source for Harare. This pioneering initiative aims to position Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited at the forefront of sustainable waste management, ensuring that the waste of today powers the city of tomorrow. The construction of a sorting plant is being done to perform a selection of incoming waste in respect to the hierarchy of waste management, which also adopts the zero waste to landfill policy. We have constructed the first hazardous waste landfills in Harare to ensure proper disposal of dangerous waste. A water treatment system is now in place. The water pools are being constructed to treat leachate produced by all the new landfills. The journey from a neglected dump site to a beacon of innovation and sustainability exemplifies what can be achieved with vision, dedication, and cutting-edge technology. As we look to the future, we're not just managing waste, we are transforming it into wealth for the entire nation. Geo-Pomona Waste Management Private Limited. We are here to protect our tomorrow.
KCD Mohadi to come and ask His Excellency E.D. Mnangagwa to address us.
Thank you, Director Ceremonies. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, and now Chairman of Sadc region. His Excellency, Dr. Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa. Your Majesty, King Mswati III of Eswatini, Your Excellencies here present, Honorable Ministers, other invited guests, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, I rise to invite to the podium a son of the soil, a man who dedicated his entire life to the liberation and the betterment of the people of Zimbabwe. He went through the mill and he has seen it all. At his youthful age, he joined politics, and then he decided with all other contemporaries of his time to join the liberation struggle. He did so and operated in the front inside Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia. As things were, he got captured and he was incarcerated. And after the completion of his term in prison, he left the country again to rejoin the struggle. I think many of you, after having gone through the torture and everything that went with incarceration in the then Rhodesia, would not have dared to rejoin the struggle. But he did, and persecuted the struggle together with the rest of us until we got our independence. At independence, he was one of the young ministers. So he has been in government since 1980. And in government, he served in different ministries. And at one time, he became the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. So I'm talking about a man who has been a freedom fighter, who has been a guerrilla, who operated, who knows how difficult it is to face a well-resourced army, to a man who then liberated the country and then vowed to transform the lives of the people of Zimbabwe. He has done so, and some of us are privileged to have served under him. In the party, he held different positions, and now he is the first secretary and president of the ruling party, ZANU-PF. At one time, when he was Secretary for Justice, Secretary for Legal Affairs in the party, I happened to deputize him. And I continue to deputize him. The man I'm talking about is the man that was within a very short space of time has transformed Zimbabwe into a viable economy. He still has a vision to take this country, this nation, into an upper middle income society by the year 2030. We are privileged Zimbabweans to have a man of this caliber, or this caliber. He is so humble and he's soft as wool. But what he does on the ground and to this nation is great. ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, Your Majesty, Excellencies here present, invited guests, allow me, therefore, to invite none other than our president, the president of the Zimbabwe, Comrade Idi Mnangagwa, and now the chairman of Sadc, to come to the podium and address us, Your Excellency.
Kindly be seated. Your Majesty, King of the Kingdom of Eswatini, King Mswati III, my dear brother, President of the Republic of Botswana, who is with us here, and my young brother, President of Madagascar, this young man, Rajolina. The others, you know them already. My brother from Botswana is always here. I don't need to stand up. He's always with us here. The Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, General Chiwenga, Vice President, Colonel Retired Mohadi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Shawa. Oh, did I mention? Tina King, Mamona, Aregubi, the King and Mswatiga, King, kwete mamboje, King. Tunawari pano. Ukaona nyika shanyigwa na makingi, iningi yawa nyika chayo manje. We also have our Executive Secretary, Sadc, our son here. Mnomziwa nditi. This young man who was talking here, Mohadi, he says he wants to be like me. I said, a few things he can do. When I was young, at the age of 19, I was sentenced to death. That has not happened to him. He must go through that first. I survived because I was underage. But he won't survive because he's above age, so he'll get hanged. I took poison and remained unconscious for 3 days. I said he must do the same and see whether he will survive. But he is looking for the easier things only. So, Mohadi, those are the challenges. If you want to be president, take poison first. And then survive after 3 days. Also, jump the border to South Africa, as I did. we have with us here King Mswati. He's a long friend of Zimbabwe. You are most welcome. Our young man there, Angelina, very, very, very close friend of Zimbabwe. Last time I was in his country, he looked after me as his father. But my vice president wants to be like me, can never get that treatment. Of course, we have our executive secretary with us. Magosi is here. Allow me to extend a special welcome to you all to this tour of Geo-Pomona Waste Management Limited. Muchayebuka kuti panapa pakazara tsvina. Muchayebuka. Oh, sure. I must speak in English. This place was full of flies. It was dirty. Dirty. But this young man, Nguwaya, has transformed this place, created an environment where we now come here and you see green lawn. It's beautiful. In the past, when we were driving past through here, we would close our nose for 3 minutes and drive fast because it was stinking. But you can come and eat fish and chips now. Yeah. He has transformed the place. It's beautiful. Environmental management. Congratulations, young men. As with all the countries of our region, Zimbabwe continues to face a daunting task of managing waste disposal in a sustainable manner. This is the site here in our country where we have achieved management of waste. Our capital city, Harare, generates waste every single second. And the captains of our city do not know how to manage the waste they generate. But this place, this young man here, I don't know where he came from, suddenly has been able to manage waste generated by our capital city. And our capital city is now being kept clean. Congratulations, young man. I think if you go to council and want to be elected, you win. At least I'll vote for you. You see, the rapid urbanization, population growth, and increasing mass consumptive patterns continue to produce unprecedented amounts of both household and industrial waste. And we must find a way to deal with that. Now, this place here just does that. You see, the unintended consequences of high rates of resource consumption have harmed our urban environments through the production of waste, which is beyond the management capacities of most local government and municipal authorities. This situation is worsened by limited access to modern disposal technologies and equipment, as well as appropriately trained manpower. Illegal dumping of waste, coupled with the improper disposal of highly hazardous chemicals, also exacerbates the risk of negative health and environmental consequences to our people and future generations. For Zimbabwe, this background necessitated the adoption of robust and responsive models that enable local authorities to sustainably manage waste. The establishment of comprehensive frameworks for effective chemical management, disposal of waste for environmental renewal and protection have led to the vast innovations, including in the renewable energy space. We are now generating electricity here from the waste which was here. I remember, as I've said earlier on, when I used to pass through here, we would drive very fast, boys was thinking. But because of new technologies, you can have your fish and chips here now, very safely. Through the new opportunities availed by my government's waste management strategy, Geo-Pomona Waste Management came in with this investment, partnering with the government, the city of Harare, and local communities. This waste-to-energy initiative has not only addressed the environmental challenges that were caused by this dump site, but the plant, once completed, will generate electricity for the national grid from the west. This plant is therefore a demonstration of the vast potential of strategic innovations in resolving our day-to-day community and national economic questions, such as power supplies. This project further dovetails with our theme, promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustainable economic growth and development towards an industrialized Sadc. The fact that this company is people-centered with a large pool of youth and women being employed here is commendable. Additionally, the waste-to-energy project will contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in line with our national determined contributions towards climate change mitigation. The electricity to be generated here will significantly complement government efforts to broaden the country's energy mix through optimum power generation from renewable energy sources like here. My dear Your Majesty, Excellencies, distinguished guests, our vision for Zimbabwe is to prioritize environmental sensitivity waste management and disposal systems in all our communities. I extend my sincere gratitude to the Geo-Pomona Private Limited management here and the staff for partnering with government in addressing this critical issue. Such projects will undoubtedly contribute to creating a cleaner, healthier, and a prosperous future for all. I hope that these 2 years will be insightful and that we will draw valuable lessons from each other's experiences. I'm sure that various communities within the region can implement such innovative projects as we have witnessed here at this Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project. Let us never shy away from thinking outside the box, adapting best practices from elsewhere, guided by our own realities on the ground, to drive the modernization, industrialization, and development of the region. we remained mindful that Sadc must be built and must be governed and must be prayed for by us, its citizens. The weighty responsibility for this duty to develop our country lies with us and nobody else. Let us scale up endeavors across all sectors to propel every community into a prosperous future, leaving no one and no place behind. When I was growing up, in the 40s, we were told about Big Ben. I think it's a big bell or something. My brother, in England. Yeah. We were taught about Big Ben in the 40s at school, 50s, the early 50s. That the biggest bell in the world is in London. That when we grow up, we take opportunity to go and see Big Ben. A bell. I didn't know it was just an enlarged bell which we use in our kettle in the countryside. Especially in Botswana, they have all of these bells, you know, around their kettle. They have lots of kettle in Botswana. The Big Ben bell is just bigger. So don't spend the money and say, I want to go and see Big Ben. You can produce it. Yeah. So don't shy away from thinking outside the box. Each country, each people must develop their country themselves, build it themselves, pray for it themselves. If I leave Harare and go to Tokyo, and they said to the Japanese, I've come to pray for you, they will arrest me. Pray for your country yourselves. Build your country yourselves. Modernize your country yourselves. Admire your country yourselves. Oh, sorry. C'est Sunday today. God is day. We mustn't talk politics on Sunday. God bless you all. God bless Zimbabwe.
We missed a good place to say amen there. Or hallelujah. Your Majesty and Your Excellencies, the heads of state that are here, allow me just to make a slight adjustment as we prepare to do the tour, because after the tour we may not have a sit down in this manner again. And I'm going to ask at this moment the Honorable Vice President, CGDN Chiwenga, to make his appreciative speech, after which we will then embark on the tour, which will be using buses. So, Honorable Vice President, sir.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairperson of Sadc, Comrade Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, Your Majesty, King Mswati III, Excellencies, heads of states and government of SADC member states who are here, Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Colonel Retired Mohadi, Executive Secretary of SADC, His Excellency Mangosi. All protocols observed. A very good morning to you all. Mine is a very simple one. First, Your Excellencies, it is my unique privilege to give a vote of thanks and a heartfelt gratitude to you all as we conclude this program, just going to end by a short tour to see what has been presented to us by Pomona, by Geo-Pomona private company, Chief Executive Dr. Nguaya. And to see for ourselves, Your Excellency, Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, what the President was talking about, the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Facility. Your presence, Your Majesty and Excellencies, and other distinguished guests here at this facility is a testament of the importance that you attach to the efficient waste management and environmental sustainability. Allow me to extend our deepest appreciation to the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairman of SADC, His Excellency Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, for his vision and leadership that has made this project a great success. Tinokutendai Shumba. We pay tribute to Geo-Pomona Waste Management for the insightful and educative idea that they have brought not only to us as citizens of Zimbabwe, but also an idea that is going to spread throughout our region, highlighting the challenges and opportunities that exist within the waste management sector. None of us ever thought that we could get a lot of things from the waste. We thought if it is waste, it's waste. But now we have just seen that you can recycle certain items. You can also generate electricity. You can also have clean water. You was telling me that they have now processed their water from the waste to 99.9. I said yes, but if I think about that waste, how do I drink it? And so But that water can be used for watering our gardens, our lawns, and to keep our environment growing. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, as I conclude my vote of thanks, I wish to thank you all for your participation to this event, pursuant of our desire to build a cleaner, greener, and sustainable environment for the benefit of our peoples. Let us learn from each other's experiences, share knowledge, and collaborate in technical and innovative solutions. Once again, Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable VP, for that. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, the Heads of State, we've come to the time that we will now get onto the tour. This is how we will proceed. As His Majesty and the President's stand, the CEO of Pomona would want to appreciate that they've stepped foot on this ground by giving them a token. And after that, they will get into buses, which are going to drive them around the complex. After that, we will then proceed to the Museum of African Liberation, where we will have a groundbreaking ceremony there in those buses. And we will make sure that we do all these things in the shortest possible time. So I will ask Dilish to now come closer and then take the small tokens of appreciation to His Majesty and the Excellencies that are here. Your Majesty and Your Excellencies, may I indulge you now to take your leave and move to the buses as we clear the path.
Yes, the formal proceedings have actually come to an end here, as we have heard the speech from His Excellency Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, who is also the Sadc chair, and now the heads of state who have actually come to visit the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project are now going to be touring around. It's quite a big place, quite a huge place, as they get to see stage by stage what is being done when waste gets to Geo-Pomona, what is the first stage, what then follows, until they get to have an appreciation of the entire project. And now we have heard His Excellency explaining that we never thought this place could be transformed, but yes, that's what innovation can bring you.
Ichokwadi iye tanzwa mtungamiri wenyika vanovasa chigaro wesadc Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa vachitsanangura nzvimbo ino zvayakanga iri nezvayava nhasi, vachitaura nyaya yekuti zvakakosha kuti sedunhu resadc tivake nyika dzedu toga, tivandudze nyika dzedu toga, tidzinamatire toga. Varamba vachidorongodza nyaya yekuti mudunhu resadc tofanira kuti tivake nyika yedu pamwe chete. Taona zvakare Ian mukuru wekambani yeGeo-Pomona vaDelish Ngwaya vachitsanangura urongo hwavainawo nemuono wavainawo nokuda kwenzvimbo ino sekutaura kwawaita. Iko zvino takuona vatungamiri venyika nevamwe vauya pano vachifamba vachiona nzvimbo yeGeo-Pomona. Sesibona-ke abantu ababuye lapha omongameli bemazwe eSadc kanye-ke labanye bonke abakhona lapha behamba bebona-ke indawo yeGeo-Pomona, indawo esitshintshile esiguqukile ongasela ngcekeza ongasanuki. Kuqala kuthiwa kwakunuka la kanti sakusanuki, so sungabuya uzodlela khonapha uzodlala umdlalo wenguqu lemidlalo etshiyeneyo ubona umsebenzi wenziwe eGeo-Pomona yena.
Yes, a beautiful place, of course, and their excellencies who are also right here at the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project are now going into various buses as they will be touring this particular place. And you might have heard afterwards they will be visiting the Museum of African Liberation in where there is what you have heard is that there will be a groundbreaking ceremony happening at the museum there. But we have also seen the king arriving right here, getting to be given that gift by Mr. Ngwaya, who is actually appreciating the heads of state who have taken their time out of the busy schedule. Of course, yesterday there was the 44th Heads of State Sadc Summit. It ended officially yesterday. These visits are really for these heads of state to have an appreciation of the work being done in Zimbabwe, especially when it comes to conversations around innovation and industrialization. Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project is an example of what the conversation speaks to and how other nations can also move within the same direction. And in his speech, His Excellency then challenged other people to then look and think in the same line, looking at problems and bringing solutions. How to solve this problem is what exactly has been done by Geo-Pomona. As Wadzanai rightfully said, they're actually soccer pitches, quite beautiful, I should tell you, and there are also some basketball pitches. Talk of the tennis courts that have been constructed at the previously disgusting Geo-Pomona Waste dumping site. Now it's a beauty that His Excellency is talking about. Wadzanai
limqotho lelo yena ukuthi indawo le isiguqukile yaba indawo enhle ngenxa yomsebenzi owenziwa iGeo-Pomona. Umongameli uComrade Emerson Mnangagwa uthe uyamangala ukuthi umfana lo uDr Ngwaya wavela ngaphi, umbono lo wawuthatha ngaphi. So besitsho sithi yena uqhakathekile ukuthi amazwe eSadc athathe lumzekeliso, athathe umfanekiso awubona namhlanje eGeo-Pomona ahambe lawo emazweni abo bayewusebenzisa. Siboneke lapha silo King Mswati the third eSwatini ubuyile wathi hayi kumele ngizobona okwenzakala la. Sabona umongameli wakule Madagascar uMr Henry Rajolina laye ulapha. Siboneke uPresident Mokwetsi Masisi oweBotswana. Sabona ke unobhala omkhulu wenhlanganiso yeSadc uDr Elias Makhosi laye ukhona lapha. Labanye abatshiyeneyo abanye amazwe ababuyileyo bathi azingeke sihambe singabonanga okwenziwe eGeo-Pomona. Njengokutsho kwakho besuka lapha baza kuya eMuseum of African Liberation besiyabona okwenzakala khona ngapha. Kodwa ke unkulumo yakhe umongameli Mnangagwa uthe yena kuqhakathekile ukuthi sibone ukuthi ingcekezi yakhathaza amadolobho amaningi, kodwa kumele ukuthi amazwe abone ukuthi yikweni angakwenza ukuze ingcekeza le ilahlwe kuhle, iprocess yokuhle ukuze kungabi lengcekeza egcwalayo. Uthe yena babe sinqabe edlula la kwakunuka, babe chayela izimota ngokuphangisa ngoba bengafuni ukube bese eGeo-Pomona. Kwakusesabisa ngoba yazi nxa kunuka kunjalo uyakwazi ukuba lemikhuhlane, kodwa lindawo isiyindawo ehlanzekileyo ongabuya uzokholisa lemuli yakho. Yikho kwenzakala lapha namhlanje eGeo-Pomona. Sekuthola kwayitha Ian urongwa ukuya pano pa Geo-Pomona uri pakati peprogram ye-44th Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government nezuro maneruchi ichipera kuMount Hamden. Paiva neurongwa hwekushanyira nzvimbo idzi kuti nyika dzimwe dzione zviri kuitika kuno, zione zviri kuitika muZimbabwe pachishandiswa ruzivo rwemazuva ano kuvandudza nzvimbo dzakasiyana siyana. Takaona vatungamiri venyika vanodarika 12 vachiuya muno nevamwe vakamirirwa nemakurukota avo nevatevedzeri vemaprime minister vachiuya kumusangano weSadc, musangano wakasimbisa zvikuru nyaya yekuvandudza zvivakwa, nyaya yekushandisa ruzivo rwemazuva ano kuvandudza nyika yeSadc. Mutungamiri wenyika vakapiwa usachigaro vakati vachatora basa iri nokuzvininipisa kukuru. Vakakumbira kuti nyika dzeSadc nevatungamiri vagovatsigira mumwedzi 12 inotevera vachiita basa rekuvandudza nekutungamirira sangano reSadc. Ian
exactly that's what was happening right here at the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project. And as you refer back to what His Excellency said in his acceptance speech, during the arrivals of the various heads of state, we've also seen them paying a courtesy call to the State House, and we've heard the likes of Dr. Chakwera explaining that they do expect His Excellency to lead in his own way, and their support is guaranteed. He will be steering the region for the next 12 months, and issues around collaborative efforts between Sadc countries, and talk of projects like inter-border power generation. We've heard him talking about that. He also spoke about what needs to be done to protect the region from natural disasters like the El Nino-induced droughts that we are currently experiencing right here in Sadc. He also spoke about the climate proofing of agriculture. That is now an emergency that needs to be done to ensure that the region will not die of hunger. The peace that is prevailing in Sadc should continue to ensure that we have more and more of similar projects being done. And of course, these visits now at Geo-Pomona are currently happening, and there will be another one to the Museum of African Liberation. Yes, we'll be taking you back to our pocket studios where Bengani Ngoe is on standby. Bengani, it's back to you.
Sabula Zimbabwe sibonile umongameli bamazwe agoqela umongameli weMadagascar Andre Rajoelina, inkosi yaseSwatini yesithathu King Mswati, kanye lo mongameli wakwele Botswana uMnumzana Eric Masisi, kanye lo nobhala wenhlanganiso yeSadc uMnumzana Mahosi, bonke bakhona ngale. Umongameli welizwe Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa ungunobhala wenhlanganiso yeSadc ukhulumile njalo ngobuhle bendawo yeGeo-Pomona. Kukhangelwa ukuthi indawo ibingcolile, indawo isiguquliwe, kusetshenziswa indlela zakulezi insuku zokuthuthukisa lindawo, innovation ehambelana lendikimba yeSadc. Farai.
Yeah, 100% there. Of course, appreciating the fact that the heads of state having toured and seen the innovation development there. I think we highlighted earlier on, Uguti, you have the largest facility of its kind, or the only one of its kind within the Southern African development community. And I think, as was highlighted by the chief executive of the organization, I think taking a chance also to be able to offer the same service to the various heads of state there, I think it speaks volumes, Bengani.
Nje ukhuluma kwamongameli welizwe ukuthi ungabona inkosi isethekelela indawo yakho, kutsho ukuthi uqhakathekile. Sibonile inkosi uMswati wafika la. Lokhu hambelana lokho kwakhulunywa umongameli ekhuluma ku public lecture yakhe, ekhuluma nge-innovation. Konke lokhu kuhambelana lokwenziwa iZimbabwe. Ungakhangela amakolleji amaningi eZimbabwe lapha kuhlanganisa iHIT le University of Zimbabwe. iHIT yaphathisa kakhulu nge-innovation yayo ngesikhathi sokumemetheka we-COVID-19, belungisa ama-sanitizer lokunye lama number plates alungiswa University of Zimbabwe. Farai.
Yeah, most certainly there. Now we'll be crossing over, we'll be looking to rather a bit more of the prospects that came from the engagement that took place today at the Geo-Pomona waste site, appreciating once again its role and function from the transition from the Harare City Council to becoming private land, which is supported, of course, by a government effort through a public-private partnership, which sought to be able to address the waste concerns within the capital city of Harare. Let's take a look.
Geo-Pomona Waste Management represents a state-of-the-art approach to waste management, incorporating crucial elements such as proper waste sorting, leachate treatment, and the establishment of waste-to-energy facilities in fighting the effects of climate change and ensuring good public health. This innovative project has significant importance to the region, addressing critical environmental and public health challenges in Africa as a result of pollution of the environment with solid waste and contamination of water bodies with leachate. The project's emphasis on proper waste sorting ensures that recyclable materials are separated from non-recyclable waste, leading to reduced environmental impact and increased resource efficiency. The implementation of leachate treatment facilities mitigates the harmful effects of leachate, a byproduct of waste decomposition that can contaminate soil and water sources. Dilesh Nguwaya, the Geo-Pomona Private Limited Chief Executive Officer, said the multi-million-dollar project stands to benefit other countries by serving as a model for transformative waste management practices. He says they intend to replicate the project across the country.
The Kanban has been guaranteed by the government of Zimbabwe the national project status, and so far we've employed more than 162 workers and 60 contractors. Our future is Geo-Pomona. We want to replicate the same model in other cities and also to the Sadc region to do the same concept which we are doing here in Harare. This project is a footprint of His Excellency, the President, Comrade Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, is the one who gives us guidance to make sure we are running this site in a good way.
Geo-Pomona Waste Management Civil Engineer Nyasha Chifupa.
So here we are at our air bridge, which is our first port of entry into the waste management site. So at the way bridge, trucks come from different players, be it City of Harare, private players, they will start here at the way bridge. So what happens at the way bridge, our intended goal is to measure the amount of waste that is being brought to site. So the truck will come in to the way bridge, we measure the gross weight. Then after measuring the gross weight, it tips off the waste, it comes back, we measure the net weight. And by having the difference of the two, we can tell the amount of waste that has been dumped in the site. And then we can issue an invoice for the customer to go and pay.
Here we are now standing at our batch plant, which is one of our auxiliary infrastructure. The purpose of this batch plant is to produce the amount of concrete that is desired for the project. The project has large volumes of concrete, and we therefore found the project to have economic soundness if we have our own batch plant. So this is a 60 cubic meter per hour batch plant concrete production, a put master which we had imported from India to bring to the project. We're now at our hazardous landfills. We have two types of hazardous waste. So we have two types also of landfills, being the hazardous landfill, solid hazardous landfill, and the liquid hazardous landfill. The design consideration for these landfills, number one, we are friends of the environment. We intend to protect the environment by all means necessary. So we have two lines of defense. The first line of defense being 1 meter of compacted clay, which is impermeable, after which we then put 2.5 millimeter HDP geomembrane. Then we then put a geotextile on top of the geomembrane, which is the white membrane that we are seeing there. This is meant to protect the damaging of the geomembrane during the waste spreading. The aim of having all this in place is to try to contain all the liquids so that they don't percolate down into the groundwater, or we don't have liquids from the landfill flowing towards the surface groundwater. So we are all trying to prevent the contamination of the environment. Waste generally comes with some liquids in place, and also during the rain season we have water that is accumulating in landfills. Remember, we said this is now impermeable, so all the liquids will accumulate in the landfills. So we need to get rid of those liquids in a way that is environmental friendly. We are now at our sorting plant facility. So from the weighbridge, the trucks will then come here. Then they will offload their waste here. The purpose of this facility, remember, we have a hierarchy of waste management, which is consists of the 4 R's. The first will be reduce, then we have reuse, we have recycling, recover energy. So on the recycling and the reusing items, we have to be separated within the sorting plant. We'll be having 2 lines of conveyor belts that will be used to carry the waste from the pits there, which you can see there. Then we have people that will be separating the waste manually, of which all the recyclables and all the reused materials would then be taken out for companies who do reuse and recycling of materials.
An engineer at the facility, Simbarashe Muchena, unpacks processes at the project.
We have 2 ponds, where one is for clean water, the other one is for the dirty water, which is the leachate. These ponds are also engineered and they are constructed in a way that also protects the environment. The same way which a landfill is constructed is also the same way which a pond is constructed. It is finished with a primary and secondary layer of defense to make sure that by any chance there is a spillage of our leachate, it does not get to the environment. So welcome to the internal components of our containerized reverse osmosis system. As you can see, there is our user interface of the system. This is where everything goes. This is where the operator will be monitoring all the parameters. This is where everything is recorded. This way it also shows the three processes which are happening in here, which is the fluid osmosis and the cleaning place. So basically this is our user interface with the system, where the engineer and the operator is able to see what's happening with the system.
We've also generated employment for the former scavengers who were living in the landfills. They were given some opportunities to then come in and become part of our workers, the general workers at the landfill. And we've also considered gender balance. We have more or less equal women and men within the project, where most of the administrative work are done by women. Like we have the marketing and PR, our legal secretaries, our compliance managers, our shake officers, our clerks. They are mainly female, and also have some men, engineers, team of builders, and other artisans. And the age group of these guys, they are all less than 40 years. So we are promoting also youth empowerment by recruiting mostly youths from the age of 29 to around 40 years. So this project has not only brought benefits of electric supply, but also brought in employment for various people.
The facility is meant to also benefit the community, hence the construction of a mini recreational park. Public Relations and Marketing Manager Spatisiwe Masugu speaks on these developments.
Behind me, we have 2 tennis courts as well as 2 basketball courts, which are open to the public. They're open to both men and women, youth, the elderly, different clubs, different groups. Anyone can actually come to play at no charge. We're also going to build a restaurant as well as changing rooms, because we want it to be a holistic experience. When people come here, they'll come, change, and shower even after they have played their games here. So that's what we have in terms of our recreational facilities.
Appreciating there, of course, the Geo-Pomona waste facility and its innovative approach towards waste management, but at the same time also expanding to the innovation agenda being addressed throughout the continent. Bengani, of course, we see that His Majesty and His Excellencies, their Excellencies rather, have started making their tour of the facility, and then if I understand it well, they'll be making their way over to the National Liberation Museum to then also be able to appreciate some of the historical contexts of how Zimbabwe arrived where it is.
Sokulebereka kuwata farai kuti mushure mokushanyira indawo yeyi avanonda ku Sadc Liberation Square yokunoberebereka akale nozo akashangana n'abana bomushango ye Sadc belebereka zunzulo siyana tilinga kwa feno abantu bakumugada mabasi benda kunolinga indawo ye Geo-Pomona inoba indawo inolungiswa magesi kuva kushambwa zose zuno viramu innovation sokulebereka kale kulinga ma objectives zuno imba inhloso ye Sadc ukhangelwa njalo indaba ye economic enhancement, indaba ukuthuthukisa indlela zakulezi insuku egoqela phakathi imisebenzi eqhutshwa eGeo-Pomona kanye lokulondoloza imbali okuzayenzwa umongameli lapho azanikeza khona i-button Sadc Liberation Square namhlanje Warren Park Farai.
Well, certainly as they make their way there, I'm sure some may be wondering, of course, the buses at the facility. I'm sure if you recall, Bengani, we managed to catch a glimpse of those buses at social media earlier on, appreciating the high level of luxury travel that the heads of states and His Majesty will be traveling in as they make their way from Pomona to the Museum of Liberation History.
Yes. Konke lokho ukuveza njalo umsebenzi oqhakathekileyo ungabona omongameli bonke laba bebathathu ngokuza kwabo bezokhangela umsebenzi ophathwa lapha. Ukhulumile umongameli esithi kudala wasithi nxa udlula endaweni leyi eFarai kwakunuka wawudlula ngesiqubu kodwa kathesi indawo leyi isithuthukisiwe kukhangelwa ukuthi ingcekeza leyi isiguquliwe yaba ngamagetsi okuyinto enhle ukutshengisa ukuthi kunengi ongenziwa ngabantwana beZimbabwe, kunengi ongenziwa ngabantu abakumazwe akuhlanganiso ye Sadc. Ukhulumile umongameli wathi thina abantu abakuSadc yithi esingasizungulisela impilo yethu konke ikhuluma njalo sithi konke lokho kwenziwa ngabanikazi belizwe.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. And then, of course, also we'll now be crossing over back to the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Facility, where we'll be joined by Ian Vambe, who has a guest who will be sharing on the progress taking place there.
Machivengani. Yes, we are still coming to you live from the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project, where currently the heads of state are touring the project for them to have a clear picture and a clear understanding of what exactly is happening. They have gone in buses because it's quite a huge place as they get to understand what is done at this particular stage, and they will be walked through. Afterwards, they will be leaving for the Museum of African Liberation as these post-summit visits continues, and His Excellency is currently within with also that delegation. But to understand more about the stages that the heads of state are also seeing, we are joined by Spatisio Masuku, who is the PR manager of the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project. Spatisio, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start by understanding. Can you unpick the stages that the heads of state are currently witnessing?
Thank you very much, Ian. It's a pleasure to be here. So firstly, the heads of state are going to start at the weighbridge. So the weighbridge is the first place that the heads of state will actually see when trucks come in to dump waste. They pass through the weighbridge first. Back then, they just used to dump anywhere and everywhere. Even here, they could actually just come and dump waste. But then now we have a system, an organized system, where people come through, they go through the gate, and then go straight to the weighbridge, where the weight of the whole truck is measured before they go and dump the waste or dispose of the waste, because we don't say dump anymore, because just saying dump makes it seem like it's not organized. So where they go and dispose of the waste, and then they go to the designated places where the waste will be disposed. And then when they come back, the weight of the truck is then measured again for us to get the net weight. And that's how we actually measure how much waste came in. We also take details of where the truck is coming from, the location in terms of is it coming from Marlborough, Kwazana, Mbare, Meborain, Borodal, so that we understand which neighborhoods are bringing in more waste. It also helps to know, for example, we can't expect the same waste being generated in Mbare. It can't be the same in a place which is not highly dense in terms of population. So we also want to know those statistics to also help us and see what we can do. And then after the weighbridge, the heads of state are going to see where it's called encapsulation. So encapsulation is an engineering process that's been used to deal with waste that was generated for decades and decades. I'm sure you know, and I heard you saying earlier on that this whole place was covered by waste. Waste would even get up to the gate. So to deal with that waste that had been generated for years and years, we then pushed that waste and then encapsulated it. Encapsulation involves covering that waste with layers of geomembrane, geotextile, as well as black soil. What that helps with is it helps with making sure that gases, waste produces gases. Right. Waste is actually very dangerous, and it produces gases. So to ensure that those gases don't escape into the atmosphere, we then encapsulated that waste. We just don't cover it in a disorderly way, but we cover it with these different layers. And then after that, they'll move to the concrete batch plant. What this is to do, it helps us, we're going to be producing our own concrete to help with the construction of the different points here. Right. So we found that, for us to be friendly in terms of our finances, we need to cut down on some costs. So we produce our own concrete here, which will be used around for the construction, for example, the waste-to-energy plant as well as the sorting plant. After that, they're going to move to the landfills. Right now, we have hazardous waste landfills, and they're very much open. They were licensed by the Environmental Management Agency, which is EMA. So they're open to the public. People can actually come through and actually dispose of hazardous waste. When we say hazardous waste, we're talking of things like paint, batteries. You just don't dispose of batteries or phones because those are very toxic to the environment. If they go into the water, or if those batteries, the fluids go into the water or seep into the environment, they actually cause environmental degradation or damage. So that's why we have the hazardous waste landfills. which have layers of geomembrane, geotexture as well, to make sure we're protecting our soil and to make sure we're also protecting the environment, the water and all, because we have neighbors who live around. We don't want to contaminate their water. That's why we have those. And then after the landfills, they're going to drive and go to the water pools or water ponds where we collect what's called leachate. Waste produces black fluid or contaminated water called leachate. So to ensure that this leachate doesn't contaminate the environment, like I said, there are boreholes that will be drilled in the landfills that I spoke about, and then they'll be connected to the water ponds, which are already there. And then those water ponds will just collect water even if it rains. We need to make sure that the landfills we're taking that water and putting it in the water ponds. And then those water ponds are connected to a water treatment plant, which is actually working now. We had engineers coming from Italy who came to make sure they trained our engineers as well. So we now have a water treatment plant. With this water treatment plant, what it's going to do is it's going to treat that leachate that we have. Treat that leachate to make sure that we have water to irrigate our place. I'm sure you can see the garden is green here. Very green. There's a lot of water that's needed here. Even for the waste to energy plant, it will need a lot of water, and we don't want to end up running dry our boreholes, which is why we'll treat our own water, and the water will be about 99% clean. So from the water treatment plant, they're going to go to the sorting plant. With the sorting plant, that's where they separate recyclable material, which is going to be sold to different companies that do recycling. They'll be seen there by the heads of state and government as well. And then with that, with the non-recyclable combustible material, it will be fed into the waste to energy plant. So that's what you're going to see at the water treatment, at the sorting plant, and then they'll end at the recreational facilities, which are right next to us. So that's the tour, and that's how they're going to go about it.
Well explained in terms of the stages and where we are. Well explained, really. It's a beautiful place, and you have explained. But let's get to now the waste to energy plant. Where are we in terms of construction? Are we anywhere close to that? Has it started, or we're still a long way to go?
So for us to have the waste to energy plant, all these facilities are necessary. We needed to clear the land. We can't build a waste to energy plant on top of waste. We need a sorting plant, because with the sorting plant, it's going to separate the recyclable and the non-recyclable. The non-recyclable combustible material is the one that's going to be fed into the waste to energy plant. So in terms of supporting infrastructures, we are well ahead. The sorting plant, in terms of the structure and the layers, it's already complete. We're just waiting for the machinery to be delivered. It's actually on its way right now. And then once we have that, we have already cleared the land for the waste to energy plant, and then that's when we're going to start constructing. We're supposed to finish constructing the waste to energy plant according to our Gantt chart in 2027. By 2027, that's when we'll be producing 22 megawatts of electricity, between 16 megawatts to 22 megawatts of electricity. So in terms of the progress, I can safely say that we are on track, we're on time, we're going to meet the timeline of 2027. Right now, it's very important for us to complete the other structures that will support the waste to energy plant.
2027, now this is 2024, less than 4 years to go, and you're saying there is progress. Should we come back 2027 and see the power being generated into the national grid functional?
Yes, definitely. You definitely see it being functional, unless there are other factors that then take over. But then with the work that we have done, with the progress that we have made, we're very sure that by 2027, we will be generating electricity. Though we might have the first line by 2025. But then that also depends on other things like how long the equipment will take to reach Zimbabwe, because sometimes that process can be a bit long, shipment and all. But in terms of the actual progress, we are very, very confident that when you come in 2027, we'll be generating electricity, which will be fed into the national grid.
Brilliant. Let's move on from the actual power generation and other processes. We have seen beautiful recreational places, also these soccer pitch, the netball pitch, the tennis court. Are they open to the public? Are they only meant for your staff? How are they contributing to the community, these ones?
So the recreational facilities are open to the public. Right now we're just finishing off the changing rooms. We're building changing rooms so that when people come here, they can come, play, take a shower, and then they can go and relax. So right now we're actually going to be constructing the changing rooms. Once that's done, they'll be open to the public. The public will just have to book through our email, which is on our website. Once they book that, then we'll be able to give them a date or time or approve the date that they would have suggested to come and play. But they're very much open to the public and they are free as well. But if we have larger groups that want to play consistently, they then have to pay a very small fee just for maintenance of the place, because these are FIFA certified. They need to be maintained.
Talking of a certification, I was going to come to you to understand, football lovers would want to know, can they use these pitches? Are they certified by FIFA? At what stage are you in terms of certification?
So we got FIFA certification. So FIFA certification comes in different stages. The one that we got is for the community level, because sometimes people may wonder, can big matches be played here? Can we have a Manchester United coming to play here? The one that we got is the first level, to make sure that the turf is very safe, because we used artificial turf. We needed to get FIFA to check and make sure that turf is very much suitable for people to play. They won't fall, they won't get hurt. So that's the FIFA certification that we got. It's very much open to communities, clubs, churches, and if the Warriors want to come, for example, to train, they're very much free to do that. That's why we got FIFA certification, because the one that you get here is probably going to be more or less the same as the one that they're going to play on international fields as well. So they need to train on a turf that's similar to bigger ones. So that's where we are in terms of our certification.
That must be music to a lot of our football lovers right here in Zimbabwe. But as we round off the interview, you've really explained your place. There might be young Zimbabweans who are watching who are wondering how best can they really utilize their waste. In terms of waste, are they paid or they just come and dump? How is that process happening?
So here, because it's a waste management facility, people have to pay to come and dump waste or dispose of waste. Like I said, there are a lot of infrastructures that are here, and for us to be able to build them, maintain them, people actually come and play. But in terms of managing waste at a household level, we just want to encourage people to reduce the waste that they use. There are 4 R's in waste management. There's reduce, reuse, recycle, and then what we're doing here is recovering. I'll break it down. So reduce, what we're saying is, in terms of just using a lot of waste every day, you're opening a new bottle, you can just reduce the waste that you use. Reuse, we're talking of the plastic bottles that we have, or the tins of ice cream. You can put your bread in there, in terms rather than running away. I know people don't like that, but then you can actually put your bread in there, pack it, so that we reduce the waste that's also being put in the environment, because it takes a long time for plastic to break down, which is why we're actually saying no plastic anymore. So after that, that's what people can do. And then even on a household level, separate your waste. Have a waste for, the biodegradables, your food. Have a plastic for, things like diapers and all. And then when we say a recycle, those bottles then can then be repurposed to use, people make different things from those bottles. I've seen people using cans to make earrings, things like that. So that's what we mean when we say reduce, reuse, and recycle. That's what we want to encourage people at a household level. But if people have their waste, because the waste in Harare actually comes here, all the waste, or the majority of the waste in Harare is supposed to come here. So when you see people collecting garbage even from your house, that they come here to dispose of that waste. But if you want to come as an individual, let's say you have rubble, you have been building, you can come here and pay a fee.
Interesting. Aspatiswe, thank you so much for explaining. Your last words to our viewers this afternoon?
I just want to say we're very honored that the heads of state and government came to grace us. It's if someone had told me that heads of state would come to this place 10 years ago, I would have laughed at them. I would have rolled on the floor laughing at them. But then this is just to show the importance of waste management and how big it is in the region. So I just want to encourage viewers to also play their part. Don't litter. I just want to encourage people not to litter. Don't just litter and dump waste at illegal dump sites, because we're ruining our environment. And like I said, waste produces leachate and things like that. So once we just throw waste everywhere, we're actually, in terms of just the environment, it doesn't look nice. And at the same time, we're also contaminating our water and our soil. Those are my last words to the viewers.
The Geo-Pomona Waste Management. Pierre, our manager, explaining to us the stages, the makeup of this place as we talk more about what has been done, where are they, and we have heard that surely massive work is being done, and the encouragement that do not litter everywhere, and you can actually make profit out of the waste that we talk about. Yes, as we speak, the heads of state are currently touring the various stages right here at Geo-Pomona Waste as they get to see and they also appreciate the work being done, as well as understand some of the stages, the technical stages. As you have heard, she was explaining what they do at the Weybridge, what they do where they're also constructing some concrete which they will be using for the construction of the waste to power plant that will be coming in the timeline. They said by 2027 we should be able to get some power from Geo-Pomona Waste Management. Yes, Wazanai, quite a beautiful place, a lot of work being done, especially looking at the power generation and the stages that has been completed so far.
Kutarisa kuti remangwana inenge ine zvinji zvairi kuita sekutaura kwaita pari zvino mutungamiri wenyika vanovasa chigaro zvakare weSADC pamwe chete nevamwe vatungamiri vedzimwe nyika vari pano, King Mswati III, vaRajolina vekuMadagascar, vaMokwetsi Masisi vekuBotswana, vaElias Mahotsi vanova SADC Executive Secretary nevamwe varipo vakasiyana siyana. Pari zvino kutaura kwatiri kuita vari kufamba vachiona zvivakwa nebasa riri kuitwa paGeo-Pomona. Vachibva pano vachazoenda kuMuseum of Liberation, African Liberation. Ndingada kutaura kuti zuva ranhasi remusi wa18 August kuti tizosvika panhasi takatanga nemisangano yakasiyana siyana kubva musi wa28 July kusvika musi wa2 August taiva neSADC Industrialization Week yatakaona makambani akasiyana siyana anodarika 50 vemuSADC vachiuya kakuzoratidza zviratidzwa nezvavanogadzira mudunhu rino. Vava riri kuti iri yekuti SADC ive nyika inogadzirwa zvigadzirwa zvayo isingatenge kune mamwe matunhu, asi tisimudzire chikamu chemabhizimisi, chikamu chokugadzirwa kwezvinhu pachitariswa kanyaya yemishina yemazuva ano, zvatinoti innovation zviya technology zvichishandiswa. Ndiwo musangano wakatanga iwoyo tikaona uchivhurwa nemutungamiri wenyika Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa. Tikazofamba tikaona zvakare inonzi SADC Badia inova investment conference yakaitwa dunhu reSADC rakabatana nebhanga reArab Development Bank of Africa vachitaura kuti kudyidzana kwavangaita ndokupi kuitira kuti dunhu rino risimukire. Tikaona zvakare komiti yefinance yezvemari yemuSADC yakasanganawo zvakare. Tikaona inonzi senior officials meeting nemupermanent secretary nevamwe vachisangana. Kwaiva kugadzirira musangano wevatungamiri wenyika. Tikazoona SADC Council of Ministers. Tingade kutaura kuti kumusenior officials meeting takaona ambassador Chimbindi vanova permanent secretary kana kuti munyori mukuru mubazi rezvinoitika kunze kwenyika nekutengeserana vachiva ndiwo sachigaro wesangano iroro. Tikaona zvakare ambassador Frederick Shava gurukota rehurumende rinoona nezvekunze kwenyika nekutengeserana vachipiwa kuva kuti vave ndiwo musachigaro weSADC Council of Ministers kwemwedzi 10 kana kuti mwedzi 12 inotevera gore rose vachiita basa rekucoordinate tokuita kuti basa rifambe muSADC. Mushinge unge kwaitwa SADC Council of Ministers takazoona SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security ichisangana zvakare yakanga ina sachigaro vaHakainde Hichilema vekuZambia vachizopawo chigaro ichochi richitorwa na President Samia Suluhu Hassan vekuTanzania ndo vava sachigaro weSADC Organ. Inotarisa zvakasiyana siyana muSADC. Dzimwe nzvimbo dziri kunesa zvakafanana nekuEastern DRC kusina kugadzikana, kuCabo Delgado, kuMozambique vachikurukura kuti SADC ingadii kuti nzvimbo idzo dzive nerunyararo vanhu vagare zvakanaka. Organ iyo yakataura zvakare kuti sarudzo dzakaitwa gore rapfuura dzakafamba zvakanaka zvichireva kuti nyaya yeutongi hweveruzhinji muSADC iri kufamba zvakanaka. Tikanzwa kuti vanaNamibia vane sarudzo zvakare gore rino nedzimwewo nyika zvichikurudzirwa kuti ngadziite sarudzo zvitarisa hwaro hweSADC wokuitwa kwesarudzo. Ndo misangano imwe yakaitwa tichizosvika nezuro pakaitwa 44th Sadc heads of state and government nhasi uno vari kufamba vachiona muenzaniso webasa riri kuitwa muzimbabwe. Ndo kufamba kwakaita musangano wedu weSadc kusvika zuva ranhasi. Ian.
Yes, indeed. Yesterday was the climax of all these precursor meetings that have been happening right here in the capital city. Talk of Industrialization Week that he made reference to. I've also seen companies like Geo-Pomona exhibiting, showcasing what they do, where the companies from Zimbabwe, those doing various businesses in Namibia, in Botswana, in Mauritius, had a chance to understand how best can they penetrate a market in their country, and maybe collaborations as well. As His Excellency was also encouraging heads of state to have more and more trade being done among the Sadc countries. Research that has been done shows that at least less than 21% of the trade is happening among the Sadc countries, and there is need to improve those numbers, where we can get to buy more from Botswana, we can get to sell more to Zambia. And in his address, the Sadc Executive Secretary, that is His Excellency Makosi, yesterday also made reference to issues of understanding, carrying out a research to say what are the biggest numbers of imports that Zimbabwe is currently having. Then there is a comparative analysis to see if there is any other country within the region is also selling what Zimbabwe could be importing from countries beyond our region. And this should be the starting point for us to really understand which country is producing what, and then we will get to appreciate that we are now moving towards trading amongst ourselves. And these are some of the deliberations that were actually happening as so much was being done. Yes, today it was all about the visit right here at the Geo-Pomona Waste Management, and the heads of state are currently moving around, getting to appreciate various stages. Yes, now we take you back to our Pocket Studios to Bengani Ngove.
Thank you so much there to Ian and Wanzanai giving us the update, of course, from the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Tour currently taking place with heads of state, expecting them to also make their way to the Museum of National Liberation History a bit later on. We'll take a short break for now and be right back with more updates on the post-44th Sadc Summit happening right here in Zimbabwe. warm welcome to you if you've just joined us, of course, for the post-44th Sadc Summit engagements taking place in and around the nation's capital. Where His Excellency the President, Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, alongside His Majesty and other heads of state, have engaged the various tours throughout the nation's capital, most notably the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Tour, and of course extending to the Museum of African Liberation History. I'm aptly joined in studio by Bengani, and looking forward to giving you more coverage as we progress during the course of our broadcast.
Chini makamu tichiko yo kuno ku ZBC News timu pavulongwa bukumutiwa mushure mwe Sadc yakatiwa ijiro ntungamiro shango bwakapiwa kale chibula chikupa ungale chibula we Sadc ngatilinga akale kuti nasi untungamiri we shango bamukira na bamwe batungamiri farai banoshanganisa untungamiri wa Madagascar ba Andre Rajolina pamwe mpera na she bo ku Eswatini King Mswati III pamwe mpera nontungamiri we ku Botswana abana ba ibo ba Mohwetsi Eric Masisi pamwe mpera nonkwali we Sadc uno ba iye ba Elias Mahosi benda kale bono bona mishingo ikumutiwa ku Geo-Pomona imwe inotondeja akale mishingo ikumubatwa na bana beshangule Zimbabwe kulebere kwa akale inyaya ye innovation berebereka ku public lecture akatiwa ekaberebeka ni innovation musi wa 28 July kusana kwatiwa nshangano yo kwakalebere kwa akale industrialization week yakaberebeka ni nyaje innovation kwa fenoti mulinga tibano buda benda ku Sadc Liberation Square kubana berebereka akale ninya kundulondo tachibano masikhuluma ngokugcinwa kwesintu lembali sibonile inkosi yaseSwatini King Mswati III engena begqoke izigqoko zakhe eziveza imbali okuzaveza isintu sethu isintu samazwe angamalunga eSadc Farai.
Most certainly there, Bengani. Now we'll be crossing over live to the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Facility, where Ian Vambe will be speaking to a guest that'll be there with him. Over to you, Ian. Let's hear the update.
Thank you so much, Afarai. Yes, we are still at Geo-Pomona, where currently the heads of state are touring various stages of a production that will be happening right here at the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project. And we are also joined by Engineer Anesu Singambe, who was also a part and parcel of the team that was explaining to the heads of state as they passed through various stages. Engineer, good afternoon and thank you so much for joining us. Let's start by understanding, how was the experience of explaining to the heads of state that came through to your stage?
Thank you for having us. It was a very good experience having them and explaining the innovations that we have here at Geo-Pomona Waste Management to the heads of state and government.
Can you break down these innovations that are currently taking place right here at Geo-Pomona?
Okay, so the first point that they passed through was the way bridge, where myself I was actually explaining to them. So the first point of call when trucks get to Geo-Pomona Waste Management is the way bridge. At the way bridge, we take information such as the amount of waste that has been brought to the waste, the type of waste, the quantity, the name of the driver, the registration number, where the waste is coming from. This information is important for us, for our records. They also went through the process of encapsulation. So Geo-Pomona, before it took over this place, the place was full of waste. Even right where we are standing right now, it was waste. So the process of encapsulation is the process of managing this existing waste, which has been here for 20 decades. So they passed it through the encapsulation stage, where we are encapsulating 15 hectares of waste. All the waste which was here for over 2 decades, that is the process that we were explaining to them.
And now let's talk about the work that is currently being done. You being a female engineer working in this massive project, what are the challenges that are being faced by female engineers who are venturing into the engineering profession?
Well, what we need to understand is that female engineers can also do it. Here we appreciate the Second Republic. We appreciate the CEO and Executive Chairman of Geo-Pomona, Dr. Dilesh Nguwaya, who is giving a chance to everyone, the same and equal chance to females and males. And here we are as females showcasing innovations, giving our ideas so that we build our country together and we move forward as a nation.
Let's now talk about the waste to energy power plant that is coming. What exactly will be happening? Can you break it down for us, the sort of the plant, type of a plant, and exactly how it will be operating?
Okay, so I'll start with the sorting plant that is already operational here at Geo-Pomona. It's actually at its advanced stages. So for the waste-to-energy plant to be there, it is complemented by several facilities, which the heads of state are touring right now. We have got landfills, which they are touring right now. We have got the water treatment plant. We have got the sorting plant. So about the waste-to-energy now, we are going to be incinerating 1,000 tons of waste per day. That is going to give us 16 to 22 megawatts of electricity that we shall feed into the national grid. So what will happen is when waste gets on site, it first gets into the sorting plant. Into the sorting plant, we are saying we are segregating waste. We remove all the recyclable materials and we give to those companies that needs to be recycled, because according to the hierarchy of waste management, we are not allowed to ban recyclable materials. The non-recyclable material that is combustible will get into the waste-to-energy plant. That is what is going to be incinerated. Like I've said, we are going to be incinerating 1,000 tons of waste per day to give us 16 to 22 megawatts. So the incineration is just the same process that is happening with coal. To say we incinerate the waste, the heat now, it hits the boilers. The boilers produces steam. Steam turns the turbines to the generators and we have got electricity. So that is the process of the waste-to-energy plant. Currently, the civil works and the designs are underway. And very soon, we are starting the construction of the waste-to-energy plant.
You talk about sorting of the waste, and this, I understand, can also be done at a household level. Can you educate the Zimbabweans who are watching you this morning? What needs to be done for us to be able to sort the waste accordingly? The moment we decide to dispose, what should be done for us to be able to have a different waste into different garbages?
All right. So waste management starts at an individual level. We are educating the public and giving an awareness to the public that waste management, it starts from our homes. So as an individual, it's not proper, or we do not encourage you to be throwing litter everywhere, to be throwing waste everywhere. We encouraging waste segregation, to say you put your bottles on their own, you put plastics on their own, you put papers, you put cans and different types of waste in different bins, so that even when the waste comes to our site, it means through the sorting process that we are doing, it's also going to be very easy for us. So we encourage the public to do waste management properly, starting at individual levels, starting from household levels.
You talk about the elimination of plastics, and how can this be best achieved, looking at how much people would love to use plastics and maybe the alternative are available?
Okay, so the issue of plastics, as a nation, I can say we are still far, but through education and awareness, we are going to achieve it. Together as a nation, we can do it. So plastic, we want to encourage to eliminate the production and the use of plastics. Why? Because when plastic gets into the environment, it does not degrade. It can stay in the environment for years. It is different from other kind of waste which can then degrade. But with plastic, it does not degrade and it will stay in the environment for the longest time. So we are encouraging the use of alternatives. As you have seen, even in this program, we have tried to eliminate plastics and maybe we can use bottles instead of a single-use plastic of the bottles that we are using for water. So the main issue is that the plastic does not biodegrade and it stays in the environment for the longest time. And if we continue to accumulate this plastic, it is going to give us a very serious environmental problem.
Engineer, thank you so much for joining us right here and explaining all the processes that are happening at Geo-Pomona West. Your last words to young girls who might want to become like you, what would you like to say to them?
To all young girls, I would like to tell them that the sky is the limit. We are here as a nation, just like our president, Comrade Idi Mnangagwa, says that nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Ladies, we are also there. We are also part of vene, so that we can be able kuti tivake nyika yedu tiri pamwe chete. So the sky is the limit. Continue pursuing your goals. We can achieve it all.
Couldn't have said it any better. Engineer Anesu explaining what is happening and the role that she is playing in as far as ensuring that the work right here continues. Yes, if you are just joining us, we are coming to you live from the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project, where the heads of state are currently touring the plant to understand various stages that are currently being constructed, stages being explained to them to have a clear appreciation of the work that will be done. And this is one of the visits after the 44th Heads of State Summit that concluded yesterday in the new Parliament building in Mount Upton, where we witnessed His Excellency taking over chairmanship. And today there are also some heads of state who have actually visited the Geo-Pomona West, including the President of Madagascar, His Excellency Mr. Henry Rajoelina, and King Mswati III is also among the heads of state who have come through. Yes, we've heard from Engineer Anesu explaining stages that are currently being done right here. And most importantly, she said, women and girls are also part of VNE, and they can play their role in as far as nation building is concerned. What's
bayazizwela omama lamankazana ukuthi lanithwalile umsebenzi wokwakha ilizwe leZimbabwe, njengoba upresident ehlale esitsho ukuthi ilizwe lakhiwa ngabanikazi balo. Engineer uthi lani ngabanikazi belizwe lela, sibuya nini silakhe sonke. Kade siyabona ukuthi oengineer labo ngowesifazana la uqhuba umsebenzi omangalisa wenziwa la. Ndakanchifunga iyenda kathi Pomona yayingozikana nezvemarara izvozvo but nofunga nokuda kwezvakaitwa neGeo-Pomona yane zita rakanaka rezvakanaka zviri kuitwa. Ukafamba munzvimbo yePomona tiri kuona nyangwe pane zvimwe zvivakwa infrastructure wise zvimwe zviri kuitwa zvakutouya dzimweni nguva kuburikidza nebasa rakatangwa pano yanzvimbo ine zvivakwa zviri kuitwa housing, makambani vari kuvaka makambani ekugadzira zvinhu ari kuita achivandudzika munzvimbo yePomona, zvichireva kuti ibasa guru riri kuitwa pano. Iro ukaona basa racho richisimudza vatungamiri vedzimwe nyika vachiuya kuzoona, zvinoreva kuti pane zvakanaka zviri kuitwa. VaRajoelina vekuMadagascar vari pano, vari kuona zviri kuitwa pano. King Mswati III vari pano zvakare. Vamakwetsi Masisi vekuBotswana vari pano, kunyangwe nevanotungamirira secretariat yeSadc vaElias Mahotsi vari pano, nevamiriri vedzimwe nyika vakasiyana siyana vauya kuzoona zviri kuitwa paGeo-Pomona, vachitarisa kuti kana vadzokera kunyika dzavo vanozvifambisa sei. Iye nezuro paitwa musangano wevatungamiri venyika veSadc paitaurwa nyaya yekudzidza kubva kune imwe nyika kuti Sadc ibudire. Ndakabva ndafunga ndikati pane pandaiverenga vekuMadagascar vachiti chirongwa chepfumvudza intwasa vakachiona muZimbabwe vakutochishandisa kunyika kwavo, vachitoti chiri kufamba, vakuona kuti chinoshanda, zvichiratidza kudyidzana kuri pakati penyika dzemuSadc. Ndikurangarira zvakare kuti President Emerson Mnangagwa pane nguva diki yavakanga vari kuMozambique kwaitaurwa nyaya yekuti machipanda railway line igadziriswe, vachitaura zvakare nyaya yedryport ida kuvakwa pakati penyika dzinosanganisira Zimbabwe, Mozambique nanaZambia, iri vavariro yekubatana kwenyika dzemuSadc. Tikatarisa zvakare tine Kariba Dam, tinoziva kuti mvura irimo inoita kuti magetsi agayiwe, hasi emuZimbabwe chete pamwe chete nekuzambia, Zambezi River Authority ichitungamirira muenzaniso yemabasa ari kuitwa anongotaura nyaya yekudyidzana kwenyika dzemudunhu reSadc pamwe chete nekubatsirana. Ndinorangarira zvakare kuti nyaya yemagetsi mudunhu reSadc inyaya iri kunetsa, magetsi mashoma. Nyika idzi dziri kubatana kuti dzione kuti magetsi dzinoita sei kuti avandudzike munyika dzeSadc.
Yes, rightfully said, especially on issues of working together. Wadzana, you remember that we have also seen Rwanda taking teachers right here from Zimbabwe, and some of the conversation that we have seen during this summit, especially during the public lecture that His Excellency conducted at the University of Zimbabwe, was around brain drain. What needs to be done for us to retain our skill right here in Sadc? And the question was really responded to by various panelists explaining that there is need to give a reason to these young people who are so bright and who can be innovators, who can be industrialists, and that whenever they get to learn, they need to retain those skills within the Sadc region. Yes, we have seen some of them, as soon as they finish A level, they will have 10 or more than 10 scholarships waiting for them to go to other continents, where the skill that they would have acquired from a Sadc or any African country is now benefiting other countries. And this is what the conversation is around, skills retaining right here in the Sadc region to ensure that we won't lose more and more. And talking of that, we've also seen some questions during that public lecture, where the heads of state from various countries and the vice chancellors also attended to make sure they do get to give us more. Yes, these are the proceedings coming to you live from the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Project right here in the capital city. For now, we take you back to Farai Gwaze at our Pocket Studios.
Thank you so much there to Ian Vambe and Wadzanai Mombera for giving us the update from the Geo-Pomona Waste Management Facility, where various heads of state who also are part of the Sadc 44th Sadc Summit engaged official handover rather, or official appreciation rather, of the facility and its contribution towards the Sadc region. Interesting areas having been touched on there, considering the amount of waste management that the facility manages, but more importantly also looking at 2027 as a key indicator of when the facility will be able to contribute generation of electricity through the hubs around the city, extending of course to energy generation in the country. I know, Bengani, that we've managed to cover quite a few areas around the progress of the Sadc Summit, but now we're in the post period where Zimbabwe has finally taken on its chairmanship.
Ye Farai ukhulumele ngendaba yamandla kagetsi. Nxa sikhangela kunengi osekwenzakele ikakhulu kulomkhono, sikhangela ukuthi amandla kagetsi sasikhangela kakhulu avela emanzini ngokuna kwezulu, kodwa ngesomiso esithe sabakhona, i-drought le ebangelwe yi-El Nino, sibona ukuthi amanzi ayasilela eKariba malutshwane njalo eZambezi semalutshwane amanzi, okuthi ukuthi nxa kulezinto ezifana lapho Geo-Pomona ezenelisa ukulungisa amagetsi kusetshenziswa indlela zakulezi insuku, yinto esingathi uyinto kumele ikhangelwe, iguqulwe njalo iphumelele, ikakhulu nxa ukhangela ukuguquka okwenza umumo womkhathi. Abantu abanjengobo Geo-Pomona abasebenzisa ingcekeza ukulungisa amagetsi, yinto emukelekayo. Siyakhangela njalo ukuthi kuyenza ukuthi indawo ibe ngehlanzekileyo njalo sithola lamagetsi. Sikhangela njalo ukuthi umongameli bake bethekelela lindawo. Sikhangela njalo ukuthi namhlanje umongameli uza kuya Sadc Liberation Square lapho azanika ngosemthethweni lindawo ezaveza imbali yethu njengezizalwane zamazwe kunhlanganiso ye-Sadc. Farai.
Most certainly, and then we'll also be crossing over to the Museum of African Liberation and History, where the heads of state have made their way after the tour at the Geo-Pomona facility. Now, of course, the museum speaking to heralding the significant role that African states played to ensuring liberation and emancipation from colonial rule, but at the same time also fostering a way for younger generations to also appreciate the role and function played by not only frontline states, but also blocks such as the Southern African Development Community. Let's hand over now to Justin Mahlahla, who is also currently giving us the updates from the Museum of African Liberation History. Justice, over to you.
We are here at the Museum of African Liberation, where we expect Sadc heads of state who are in the country to tour this facility and familiarize themselves with what is taking place here, as well as the significance of this place to the Sadc region. And of course, to discuss that more, I am joined by the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Kazembe, to take us through what we are expecting in terms of the program for today. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you very much. Today, as you have alluded to, we are expecting heads of state from the Sadc region. They'll be coming in a moment to come and tour the Museum of the African Liberation. And there's more to it. There are a number of things that are going to be developed here. But most importantly, they are coming here so that His Excellency the President, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, officially hands over the Liberation Square where we are standing right now. And this square is going to be donated to the Sadc region on which the SADC can construct a monument. This is going to represent the liberation struggle of the entire SADC. As you would appreciate, at one moment or another, at one given a time or another, every one of the states of the SADC region were subjected to colonialism of some sort, and it took sacrifices of the sons of the soil and daughters of the soil to liberate the various countries in the SADC region. And the history has to be written, the narrative has to be corrected, and we have to preserve that narrative, preserve that history of where we came from as countries of the SADC region. So this place here where we are, the Liberation Square, is one monument that will represent or rather give the correct narrative of where we came from as nations of the SADC region. So today we're going to witness a tour. The heads of state will be taken on a tour by His Excellency the host, who is also the chairman of the SADC region. They will be taken to the ZDF. There's a ZDF Field Museum, which is being constructed here, just behind this hill. From there, they'll be taken to the actual museum, which is being constructed by Sadc Institute with the help of the government. And then from there, they'll come back here and then have His Excellency the President hand over officially the land that is donating to SADC, the land on which we are standing right now. So basically, that is the program that we have today. And also, we are going to witness His Excellency the President doing the groundbreaking ceremony as the chairman of SADC on this land.